We're continuing off this 360 VR virtual reality tour where we left off last time. If you guys remember, I showed you where the SS United States boat was located at Pier 82. That's located a block behind us. Right now, we're walking northbound on Columbus Boulevard here in South Philadelphia. We're currently at the intersection of Columbus Boulevard and McGee Street. On our left-hand side, you will see Schaefers Automotive. Take a look at this display they have out here on my left. What is this? This is an old Cavalier. It looks like a Cavalier. Look at the car. Looks like it crashed into the wall. However, they cut the car in half. That's a pretty cool display. It's been there for, I would say, at least almost 2 decades. I think since the early 2000s, I recall seeing it there. It might have been there a little bit longer, who knows? Wow, they keyed this BMW on my right. They wrote F off on the hood and they keyed up the whole entire BMW. On our left, we got the Pennsport Pub. Jake's at Pennsport Pub menu, so you can eat there, drink and all of that stuff. If you look up, you'll see a water tower on top of this warehouse. Warehouse space, 70,000 square feet available. We're passing Dilworth Street. This was also a US storage unit for a short period of time. I think there's a lot of space vacant. Up to 70,000 square feet available. So give or take, you can, I guess, lease whatever amount of space you need. On our right, we have a Home Depot, a McDonald's, a Chipotle, a Walmart, and more. On our left-hand side, if you move your device left and you look up, you'll see this is the show bar, show and tell. This is an adult entertainment club. I've never been in there, but I've heard of a friend or two going in there. I heard of their experience. One time, I believe it was my older cousin's birthday, and all his buddies took him there, and they put him on stage while the girl gave him a lap dance and all that stuff. Check it out. Gentlemen's Club. You can look behind me. We have a closed down gas station to our left hand side. This was, I believe, a BP gas station, then it was an Amera gas station, then they split it with like an Amera and Dunkin' Donuts. So now it is abandoned for lease. That's the Columbus Crossing Plaza on my right hand side. Now, when I was growing up, this is where they used to hold the street races at here in South Philly. They used to race up and down Columbus Boulevard, especially on the block behind me. On my right hand side, there was mainly just Home Depot, Walmart, and McDonald's. There's a lot more stores back there. There's a whole new plaza that was not there. How can I verify that not being there? Because it was an empty lot where they used to hold carnivals. They used to hold carnivals right there, guys. So I remember during like Easter, you know, you remember Easter when everybody would put on clothes and everybody would be walking around all spiffy during Easter week or Easter day, Easter weekend or whatever. All up and down this block, you would see families walking, people were parking in the parking lot to go to the movie theaters. They had the Ferris wheel, they had the merry-go-rounds. They even had this one ride that used to get me sick. It was called the Zipper. It would flip you and spin you like you were like fish in a sardine can. But then again, if you think about carnival rides, aren't all carnival rides meant to get you sick, right? All they do is they spin you around. It's not like a good amusement park. I think the difference between amusement park rides and carnival rides is carnival rides spin you around. They make you really woozy and sick. I think it's by design so that you don't stay long. You probably ride 7, 8, 9 rides, get sick, get woozy, throw up, you want to leave. Amusement park rides, they're more amusing. You know what I mean? It's like a roller coaster. You go up and down. On our left, there's a whole nother plaza over there. That's Oregon shopping strip. There's a Target. That Target used to be a Bradley's, and it was also a Caldors. I don't know if you guys remember Caldors. It was kind of like a big box store like Walmart, Target, and all of that. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't know it was called Caldor, so I used to call it car doors, like a car door. I used to tell my pop, can we go to car doors? Check this out. Club Risque. Club Risque is located on our left-hand side, and this is also a gentleman's club. So as you may notice, they made sure to put the gentlemen's clubs in an industrial area, a large commercial area. There are residential homes a few blocks away from here, but for the most part, there's nobody living like directly across the street from the gentlemen's club. All right, we're on Swanson Street, the intersection of Swanson and Morris. You got the old freight tracks that are still functioning to this day. On my right hand side, you'll see freight tracks. Those freight tracks, you'll see cargo. Periodically, you might get stuck in traffic because when the cargo trains pass, then you gotta wait for them to pass. You can't go by without them passing. You got the entrance to 95 South right here. We're literally crossing over the entrance. This vehicle right here, this Acura, could possibly be going to 95, or they could make a right on Water Street, which will just take them around the block. It looked like there was somebody painting over graffiti behind me. It was painting over it, probably funded by the city and or that business to keep the building looking presentable. We have a Wawa over here on my left-hand side. We're approaching Southport Plaza. Regular gas is a bit more expensive over here in South Philly, especially in the main strip. It's $3.89 per gallon. We have a T-Mobile, a little, what's this? Little Sicily Pizza. Car wash, a Liberty gas station, Chopstick House, which is Chinese food. Diesel's going for $5.79 per gallon. Woo! On my right, there's a AAA. That AAA Car Care Insurance Travel Center wasn't always there. They literally just made that, I would say, 4 to 5 years ago. Maybe 5 years max. They just made that AAA on our right-hand side. We have the car wash on our left-hand side. This was also part of the gas station, but as you can see, they turned the gas station booths into vacuum stations. So you can always get a car wash. We're approaching Tasker. We're at the intersection of Tasker and Columbus Boulevard. On our left-hand side, we have LL Flooring. That used to be the location of the original PennDOT. I remember 20 years ago, when I was a youngster and I began practicing for my license, this is where you would go to park. They would put 2 cones there, and this was the license center. You would come here to PennDOT and practice, you know? I remember people on the weekends would come and you would see them with their own cones trying to maneuver into the parking. That's where I got my license at. It's no longer a PennDOT, so now it's a flooring business. This Burger King, I used to come here with my pop when I was a youngster because there's a movies on the next block. There's a movie theater that I recall anytime we would go to the movies, you know, since movie theater food was a bit more expensive than outside food, my pop would buy the tickets for like an hour ahead. We would walk up here, we would walk to this very Burger King, and we would eat a real full meal, a nice good meal. So when we were watching the movie, I wasn't hungry. Or if I wanted to get some snacks, I didn't have to get a lot of snacks because I was mostly full. This is McGee Rehabilitation Center. We're approaching the intersection of Dickinson and Columbus Boulevard. On our right, they just made that giant direct supermarket. That giant was not always there. On our right-hand side, across from the giant, I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise because of traffic. If you look up, there's a helicopter. So on my right-hand side, across from the giant, is New Jersey. Right now we're walking northbound. Behind us is southbound. On our right is eastbound. On our left is westbound. Well, eastbound, probably 100 yards or so, is the Delaware River. After the Delaware River is Camden, New Jersey. So this is the movie theater, guys. This is the original Riverview United Artists movie theater that I used to come to when I was a kid. Originally it was one floor, and I remember somewhere in the early 2000s they ended up making it 2 floors, but it's closed down, guys, after 2019, when places started having capacity limits because they didn't want people to get sick. They closed it down, guys. I have so many fond memories here at this movie theaters. So many fond memories. Not only this movie theaters, but this place right in front of us was, I believe, GameWorks. I don't remember the name of the arcade, but this was an arcade that when it was like the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I used to come here. We would get an arcade card, play arcades. We would come to the theaters. This is the theaters, guys, right behind us. Over here, there was Area 51. It was, again, another arcade. There's a pizzeria right here. All it is, look, it still has the old signage, United Artists Theaters. So many fond memories, guys. Coming here with my father, with my friends. Even friends that are no longer with us. Even family members that are no longer with us on this earth. I remember visiting this movie theaters with them. There used to be a little bar and restaurant right there where people used to perform up top. Man, this little plaza right here gives me chills standing here because it's no longer in service. That business that I said that was a bar and venue, it was called Warm Daddies. People used to perform there. But right now we're at the intersection of Columbus, Boulevard, and Reed. It's funny because, as you can see, this is all handicap parking. It wasn't always all handicap parking. I could have swore there was some standard parkings here, but almost close to the time when it closed down, they ended up turning all of this to handicap parking. So you had to park around the corner right under the 95. We're at Reed, Columbus Boulevard and Reed. There was a steakhouse right here on my left. The steakhouse, I believe the remains are still there. I don't know if it's still open. But I remember when we would go to the movies, you would always smell steak in the air. On our right, you got the Comcast. That's the big Comcast Tower. That's where you would go get your cable box. You would go pay your bill. You had to pay your cable bill. Nowadays, I think everything is paperless. You can do everything electronic, so I don't think you gotta come to the main office anymore unless you don't use debit cards or anything of that nature. This is the old Staples on my left-hand side. I remember coming to the Staples a lot with my pop too. My pop used to always visit Staples and Office Max because he was always into office supplies. Everything from copiers to printers to computers to software. This is the Staples that I used to visit ever since I was a little kid. That used to be a bike shop. It wasn't always a bike shop when I was a kid. I think it was also like a military recruiting place, but they turned it into one of the more high-end bike shops in my later teen years to young adult 20, I would say 20-ish years. That was an expensive bike shop, but then they closed the bike shop down. On my right, they host indoor flea markets, outdoor flea markets. It's also, I believe, a location for possibly the Coast Guards. On my right, I believe that was one of their branches. This is the exit off of I-95. So if you're coming from I-95 and you wanted to come visit any of these little shopping strips, and you're coming from south, like Delaware or further south Philly, you would get off here. I-95 exit on my left. There's a Pep Boys on my left-hand side. I used to go to this Pep Boys ever since I was a kid. The Pep Boys is still there. This is also the Sheet Metal Work Local Union number 19 location. So that's on our right-hand side. We got American Furniture Outlet. American Furniture used to be, I believe, American Appliance. That building was an American Appliance. They used to sell, hold up, I'm about to take you back, CD players and Walkmans. Yup. They would, I'm sorry, I didn't take you back to the 8-track players. I wasn't around for the 8-tracks, but I was around for the Walkmans and the CD players. And I do remember getting my very first CD player from American Appliance. That was before it was American Furniture. There was several other businesses here. This plaza changed up a few times. This is Riverview Plaza. That Masquerade spot, that's where you can get Halloween costumes and things like that all year round. It used to be Sneaker Stadium, I think Foot Action. There was a couple sneaker stores, but I think Sneaker Stadium was the one with the indoor track where if you bought a pair of sneakers or you wanted to try a pair of sneakers, they had a basketball court. So if you bought some, or if you were interested in some basketball sneakers, you could take the basketball sneakers to their indoor basketball court and play on the court to see how they felt. And it was an interior track. So let's say if you bought some running sneakers and you wanted to run with the sneakers to see how they felt, boom, you could run around their interior track. That place closed down a long time ago. They got Cosmo Proof. They got Pho Saigon, which is a Vietnamese restaurant, Dunkin' Donuts, a facial spa, and more. On our right, we have the continuation of the local union. We're approaching Washington Ave. We're approaching some charging stations for the electric cars. These weren't always here, ladies and gentlemen. When I was growing up, obviously electric cars weren't around. They're a thing of the future. But we have a gentleman charging up his vehicular device right now. This is where you will come to plug up your car and get a charge. So as you can see, that gentleman was charging up his Hyundai. So that's how you know we're in the future. There you go. You got the United States Coast Guard right there on my right hand side at 1 Washington Avenue. That's the United States Coast Guard. It's funny because one day I'm gonna close out this story with, I went to do a walking tour around the corner in Queens Village, which is a beautiful neighborhood nearby. There was a gentleman with one leg with crutches asking for change at this intersection. So I parked here. I did the walk. We parked next to a modern new car. We did the walk. When I came back, Omi was sitting in the car. She was waiting for me while I did the walk. She said, babe, you won't believe what I just saw. Remember that guy that was asking for change, that he was missing one leg? Well, after he got a good amount of change, he walked to this parking lot, he got in that new car, and he drove off. How do you like that for irony? Maybe he was hustling up money for the car insurance or the car note.